The energy around this is different right now as the San Antonio Spurs pull out another close clutch victory with Luke Kornet coming to the rescue, and we are going to discuss everything that transpired in this game and what this continues to mean for the San Antonio Spurs moving forward here on Spurs Digest with your host Keenan Warner. And guys, let's just get right into it. This guy right here, Luke Kornet, with the game-saving block on what would have been most likely a bucket to bring them to overtime, and we don't know what happens in an overtime game. We led this game for most of the way. We outplayed them for most of the game, but we were turning the ball over late, not getting the greatest of possessions late, and the Magic were hitting jump shots, and they were making the plays that they are going to make, that a good team like them are going to make. We won 114 to 112. They outscore us there in the second half. They outscore us in the fourth quarter. Fun game. A game where you were not expecting a loss, but if a loss were to have happened, you would have been okay with it, understanding that the Spurs got a huge road trip ahead of them. They're coming off of a back-to-back where they just played in a close game the other night where it came down to making plays down the stretch, and then you go and from home, you pack, you go to Orlando, and you're playing a team that was 13-8 coming in, now 13-9, a good home team, a team that was over 70% from at home this season. That's a game that you can absolutely lose and that you would understand if the Spurs were to have lost, but they came out and they played great, led behind De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox, we're going to get more in him in just a moment, but De'Aaron Fox played well. Vassell shot better from 3 in this game, 3 of 7. Keldon Johnson, 13, played well. Dylarn Harper, again, couple turnovers in this game. He had the 5 comparatively to him not having many in other games. He was getting a little bit flustered with Jalen Suggs and the way that the Magic can play defense, but the way Dylarn Harper looks genuinely is just, you look and you see star, and you cannot help but see star. Julian Champagnie, 4 of 7 from the floor. Harrison Barnes, after having 31 the other night, did not have the same kind of night. That is okay, though, because we had De'Aaron Fox there, and then Luke Kornet, who offensively has taken a dip since Stephon Castle has been out. He comes through with 3 more blocks. He had 5 the other night, giving him 8 blocks over the last 2 games, and just looking at this, again, Fox had 11 in the fourth yesterday. 12 in the fourth, 31 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. We're 15-6, the best start through 21 games since 16-17. That is an accomplishment, especially because now I believe we're 7-2 without Victor Wembanyama in the lineup, which is crazy. So going through the stats here, we have shot about the same as the Magic from the field, shot the same about from 3 when it comes to percentage. We obviously shot more 3s than they did, and we made more than they did. Percentage-wise, same from free throws. We did get there. Same rebounding, assist-wise was where they had the edge. They didn't turn the ball over as much. They were able to make the most out of their possessions for the most part. 27 assists to only 10 turnovers for them. That's where we struggled. We had 20 assists, but we had 19 turnovers. Weren't playing the greatest and the smoothest game, but again, you expect all of this stuff when you're coming off of, hey, we just played last night. Now we get to go in and play tonight. We go from playing at home, the one game we have against Memphis. Now we've got to go to Orlando and play a tough Orlando team that's been playing pretty tough all season long. They haven't played up to exactly what we thought they were going to be able to, but they've still been a good team thus far this season. And we were leading for a lot of the game. As you see, our biggest lead of 15 points. The Magic only led by 1. This was late in the game. But overall, it really came down to the veteran leadership and the veteran play of De'Aaron Fox late in that fourth quarter, making plays when we had to. I'm glad Champagnie was finally to have another game shooting the ball from 3 where he was good. He hadn't had one in a minute. He's been streaky this season. He's been streaky for a lot of his career, to be quite honest with you. That's kind of just what Julian Champagnie is as a 3-point shooter. But I loved what I saw from this team today, because today I saw resiliency, and the fact that the Magic clawed back, that was a spot where you'd be like, okay, I understand why you would lose this game. You got it. You think you have it, and then they come with a fury. But we did not fold. We did not falter, and then we ended up getting a big W again here. And then let's just watch it right here real quick. Like, okay, Luke Cornett. And then we're gonna hit the pose. We're gonna hit the pose after that. I loved it. Love seeing a guy like Luke Cornett. And glad we have him on the roster, because he is another guy who comes in, veteran leadership, but a guy who's a champion. He can continue to help in little ways for this roster. I think those are the things that make this roster special. And as you see here, obviously this was taken right before we had obviously the home game against Memphis. Then we get the road game against Orlando. Now we get to go up to Cleveland, then go down to New Orleans, then go out west to LA for the Cup, and then we have that break in between the 10th and the 17th. Maybe we play a lot of basketball in there. I hope we do play a lot of basketball within there, but we don't know if we're going to yet. This team's playing very well, and I'm really glad that we are playing well, because I think that we have a chance to be very interesting in the Cup. I hope that Stephon Castle can be back for that. We don't know. Wemby doesn't look like he's going to be. We really don't know what's going to go on. Obviously, every day is going to be different. We'll see what happens moving forward. But hey, this team continues to win. This team continues to show why they have depth, they have talent, and why they can be a force within the Western Conference this season. They're going to be able to compete with the teams like Houston. They're going to be able to compete with the teams like Denver. We'll obviously see how good OKC really is. I'm really excited for the games on the 23rd and the 25th, where we get to play them, and hopefully we have Wemby. Hopefully we have Stephon Castle back for those games, so we can see how much do we have to improve to meet the Thunder level. Do we match up with them? What can we do here? So I'm really excited to see that. There's one thing I do want to touch on really quickly before we close, and obviously Josh touched on it today, and there was a report out that we were going to be super aggressive in the Giannis sweepstakes. I'm really excited. Again, I know you guys talked there too, and there's been even more, because we had talked about being interested, then we talked about being aggressive. I'm interested to see what your thoughts are. I know that today he had went down with what's an apparent calf strain, and hopefully that is all that it is, because obviously we want to see a player of that magnitude play night in and night out. But I'm interested to see what your guys' thoughts are on it. My thoughts are probably the same as your guys' as we've talked throughout the months prior when this rumor mill was starting at first. Don't want to give up too much, but if you have a chance to get a generational guy, you get the generational guy, and then you start to try to see what you can do. And so I think that that's where we need to be with this. If we're not giving up the farm, not giving up the future, and not cutting a bunch of depth to get the guy, then I think that it's a good move. But if we're asking for too much and we can't come to common ground because of money, second aprons, the first aprons, and all that kind of jazz, then I do think that we should stay pat, because I don't want to ruin a good thing, but if we have the ability to accelerate the timeline that we're already on, then I'm for it. It just all depends on what we're able to get and what the package is able to be. And the Spurs have been able to be shrewd operators in the past. We saw that with the De'Aaron Fox trade recently, and we've seen that in the past of them getting either small or big fish. We'll see what it looks like here, but those are my thoughts there. I wanted to give those real quick. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on that and what your guys' thoughts are on going to Orlando and getting a big W. What was the biggest and best thing of the game that you saw, and what were you most excited about? But that will do it here for Spurs Digest with your host Keenan Warner. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll be seeing you guys again very soon.